Guys, welcome back to the Coach Poach podcast with the Princess Philip. He is now back in action. It's been a while since I've seen him. He went off radar, and now he's back with vengeance. How are you, mate?
I'm all good, bro. How are you? I didn't go missing. Do you know what it is? I've been just going away loads this year. Like I've been on
You went
three,
missing.
three trips in the last 3 months, which I don't usually do. Like last year, I went away once, and the rest of the year I didn't have a week off. Didn't have a week off work, and I just said to myself, this year, especially in summer, I'm just enjoying it.
How many times have you been to Ibiza now?
Once.
It's not what your Instagram tells me, mate.
Nah, I've just been sharing all the old pictures.
Oh, give it a rest, mate. Ibiza frightens. I'm frightened of a hangover now. I actually was talking about this with someone else. Like, I can't even think about alcohol because I'm just scared.
Have you been out there before? I'm pretty sure you have,
Yeah, I
no?
went out a couple of years ago. It was very good. I won't say too much of what we got up to. As you know,
Days in the and that.
you know what Ibiza's like, and that's why I'll never go back. I'm more wholesome now. I'm very much like, give me an active holiday or just an all-inclusive, TUI blue, 5 star. Let me sit by the pool and have an espresso martini, and let me play volleyball at 11 and 4 o'clock every day.
You can do that at home.
You can't play volleyball on the beach at home, mate.
Yeah, true. Unless you want your feet all cut up and that. But
Uh,
yeah, no. So yeah, I went there twice. But do you know what? Both times I went, it's literally just been last minute. Um, Bumped into a friend the first time. They were like, "Oh, we're going away tomorrow. You coming?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And literally booked flights that day and flew out the next day. And same thing with the last time I went as well, a few weeks back. So it's just been so spontaneous. But I just feel like the UK is just bad vibes. There's nothing really going on. So I'm like, if the opportunity's there, why not just quick trip,
Mate,
days.
I walk through Eastbourne Town and I'm like, this is turning into an apocalypse scene. Like we've got a preacher with his microphone outside Debenhams, well, the old Debenhams where it's all, hey, I'm on podcast. Sorry, guys, if you can hear that. My dog's just gone mental. Debenhams is all obviously abandoned. It's all just ripped down, and it just looks like an apocalypse scene in in our town. It's horrendous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And do you know what? I don't really go out like locally, and I can go a year without drinking. So it's like when I go away, like I don't go too crazy, but it's like that for me is like just being able to like let my hair down a little bit. Whereas most people are going out every weekend, getting drunk every weekend. Before Ibiza, I didn't get drunk for a year. So,
What time do
but
you get in on a,
what what round here or on
in
holiday?
Ibiza? Well, what time do you know? Were you getting in the morning?
We weren't getting in.
Party don't stop, mate. The party just it never
Oh,
dies.
stop.
That
But the
yeah.
good thing is you have your fun, get back straight to it. Uh, but yeah, it's like when you go through the town on a night out, there's no one out. 15 years ago, Friday, Saturday nights, it would have been busy, and now it's just now it's empty. No one's out.
Mm-mm. Bolton's Road was the place to be. Slater's.
Nothing, nothing's going on.
Yeah, no, I'd rather spend my money on spa weekends like I did at the weekend.
And where did you go?
West Court Retreat, it was actually lovely. There's a Royal Mail outside. That's going to cause someone's my supplements are just about to be delivered. Oh no, they're going to knock on the door and the dogs are going to go mental. So if that does happen, I'm going to have to quickly go downstairs and open it. Yeah, West Court Retreat, 2 hours away, unreal, mate. Was really good price. It's like 150 a night and dinners included.
Really?
It was just unreal. I've literally just trying to do the YouTube, like I did a YouTube video, well, YouTube videos. Half of my videos were on silent, and I don't understand why. How
Well,
weird. I'm fuming. Like I've just gone through it, gone, oh my God, loads of my talking videos, there's no sound. So I'm like, brilliant.
yeah, that's not going to be very handy.
I know.
So today's topic,
Go on, tell
we
everyone.
are talking about how to grow your glutes.
Glutes
Is this for
101.
females or for males and females?
Both, both. We do the same thing. As me and Phil have such big bundas, we should tell people how to build bundas, apparently.
Yours is a bit better than mine. I've been looking. I won't lie.
No, but we've done, well, I've done personally, I don't know how many courses Phil has done. I've done a hell of a lot of biomechanics when it comes to the anatomy of the glutes. Been up to London on courses. So I have a very good understanding of what you should be doing as females. And I've got some clients that have actually got brilliant glutes from when we started. Danny actually comes to mind when I was PTing. Do you remember Danny?
Yeah. I remember Danny.
She grew her glutes incredibly by just some simple exercises. So today we're going to speak about how to build the backside and what you should be doing. Should we start with exercises? What's your favorite exercises to program for females?
Do you know what? Personally, like, no, I wouldn't say I ever really target glutes, but if here and there, when I do fancy training, it, I like hip thrusts.
Mm.
I really feel the burn on hip thrusts and feel like the activation from those. Um, what's yours?
Well, there's going to be four main compounds for glutes for me and for when I program clients. You obviously got the barbell hip thrust.
Hmm.
For anyone who likes to be a bit sciencey, will target the glutes in the shortened position. And it's a great way of smashing it out. So you've got the hip thrust, you've got your Romanian deadlift, which is king. You've got your Bulgarian split squat and some form of leg press or squat. Those four are going to be your main glute booty builders. Um, but then at the same time, you can see people doing this and having no glutes. So why is that? Why do you think that is, Phil?
Could be loads of different reasons. So progressive overload. A lot of people aren't progressing through the movements, lifting heavy enough as well.
Mhm.
Obviously, the glutes are the biggest and strongest muscles in the body, so you want to make sure you're lifting fucking heavy to
Not
grow your
my biceps bigger than my glute.
glutes. I'd like to say the same, but it's not.
uh,
Yeah, like so make it so progressive overload. I feel like is one of the main reasons is because you want to make sure you're always improving and increasing something. So whether it's like the reps, the sets, the weight, the
mhm.
control, uh, things like that, I feel is what a lot of people don't do when it comes to trying to not just growing your glutes, but growing any muscle groups that you're trying to grow. Making sure you're like you got that connection with the movement as well. A lot of people end up, so let's talk about squat for example. A lot of people won't be getting that mind to muscle connection, and they'll be predominantly using the legs as opposed to using the glutes and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to execution. I talk about this a lot actually with everyone actually. Now, you can cue things very differently. So you can do a Bulgarian split squat, which is glute biased or quad biased, depending on how you're pushing your toes, your pressure, where your hips are, where you're kind of dropping down. Are you going backwards? Are you going forwards? Um, where the dumbbell is plays a factor as well, because that's the line of force. So that's what's pulling you down. So say the dumbbell is gravity is pulling, trying to pull that dumbbell down. And then you've got to be clever with where you place them in the week, in my opinion. Not all the time. I do actually have clients doing this, but generally, if you can, you don't want to do an RDL and a hip thrust in the same movement. However, I definitely have clients doing that, person dependent. So ideally, if you're doing legs twice a week, you might have a leg press and RDL, and on the next one might be the squat or the squat or the barbell hip thrust. So you're not smashing it all in one session. However, again, saying that, I have a client who's doing Bulgarian split squat, hip thrust, RDL, and leg press. So it's very person dependent what they can, where they are, what they're doing. But it does make sense on how you should match it up, depending on where they are in their journey.
That's it, because some people's fatigue levels are different. The
Mm.
kind of program someone has to do, depending on how many times a week they train, might vary and depend on what kind of order you're doing things in as well. Um, and that's why it's important to know what kind of level and skill level someone's at in their journey as well.
Yeah, if you're doing like a full body 3 times a week, then it could be a squat, hip thrust, RDL as the main movements in those three. Or, I've got a lot of clients on this type of split where it's um, glutes, upper, lower, posterior. So it's very glute dominant. And
Mm.
on the lower first glutes will be your Bulgarians, possibly, and a hip thrust. Your next lower will be a leg press, and your posterior will be an RDL. So you've spread it out quite evenly, and the frequency is pretty good. Um, Again, there are girls that do these, but they don't have glutes. Why don't they have glutes if they are doing exactly what we're telling them to do in terms of do an RDL, do this? Phil, go on.
Again, many different reasons. I'm going to start off with like one of the most basic reasons, yeah, which is something that's so easily overlooked. There's things like nutrition and rest.
Hmm.
So if you're not eating enough to fill the gaps and to grow and to build, you can train glutes as many times a week as you want. That rest and recovery and the food to build, you're not going to grow.
Can you build glutes in a deficit?
Mm, I guess that's more down to genetics because I'd say when I first started training, I defo got bigger while not eating anywhere near enough. But not everyone can, so I feel like that can be person dependent on mainly genetics. But I would say I wouldn't tell someone that they can do that.
Yeah.
What
I
do you think?
I don't well, if they're a beginner, yes, I've got a client who's just started for 8 weeks. We know they're going to build muscle and cut body fat.
Mhm.
If you're a female that's been training for a while and seeing no progress, then you need to go into a surplus if you're lean enough and you need to be eating more than what your body requires. Doesn't mean you have to gain loads. Becca, for example, we went down to 60, no, went down to 71, did a bulking phase, no, 74, and did a bulking phase or muscle building phase and did gained 5 kilos. And then we dropped down to 71. So females, you don't need to be as dramatic as males. Us males would be like gaining 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 kilos possibly. Females will be different, but you do need to be eating in that surplus. It's like insurance. However, again, this is good. This is where it gets quite not complicated, but you could eat a lot, but if you're not now training hard enough and you're not building the weight up or doing more reps, you're just going to get fat. So you have to match your food with your training. That's why they're there as one. You can't train really hard but eat fuck all and think you're going to grow. But likewise, you can't eat loads but train shit and think you're going to build muscle. You just get really fat. Same applies to males.
That's it. And I feel like when it comes to females and trying to explain how important it is to be in that surplus and to understand that that weight gain, if done correctly, is going to be beneficial, is what's quite hard. So it's about educating them on why they're going to have to gain the weight and explaining and getting that point across as to that weight gain isn't going to be bad weight gain if you're doing things properly and following the program. But females are like, you know what females are like compared to men are like, oh, the weight's going up. I feel like shit. I'm heavier, but it's about understanding that that weight gain, if in line with your goals, is going to be beneficial in helping you grow things like your glutes and being in that surplus and seeing the numbers go up on the scales is going to be what's getting you on track for your goals and forgetting that the numbers on the scales doesn't necessarily mean you're getting fat or you're putting on dress sizes and things like that.
You got to fall in love with the process. I actually spoke about that on my Instagram. Like you got to fall in love with the process of training. If you are just eating loads of food and not training, of course you're going to get fat. But you're channeling that food into training, and when you're training hard enough and good execution, people will do a hip thrust terribly. They'll do an RDL terribly. They'll do a leg press terribly. Execution is again an important factor. So it's a combination of things. So building glutes is a combination of things of food, technique, intensity. And I would say the last thing would probably be, your training split, how it's laid out, because I think that's probably the least important thing. Because if you are training and you are doing the other three, you are going to grow. Um, and then you can't be afraid, females, to be gaining some weight because your future self will be thankful. All the influencers that you see, some that are on whatever steroids or some form of performance enhancement drug, but even the natural ones, the females have gone through a muscle building phase. They've gained weight to bring it back down, then they've gained more weight to bring it back down. It's a constant cycle of gaining, cutting, gaining, cutting. Um,
Unless you're African, then you've already got a big one.
Brazilian. That
Brilliant.
just reminds me of. Do you remember Flow Rider?
Yeah, yeah,
With him in Brazil, and he was like, "What was it called? Oh, it's gonna. I feel like,
yeah.
what is it called? Such a good video. I won't tell Naomi that though.
Can't remember. Yeah, make sure she don't watch this one.
Uh, um, and sometimes, do you know what? What's just come to my mind is a friend of mine that I coached. I won't say her name. We did a muscle building phase, and she hated it. Honestly, I've never experienced someone complaining so much and all this type of stuff. And she lost the weight, and we finished up. Like we were together for like a year, 2 years. Finished up, and then she started doing Pilates and stuff, and lost a little bit more weight. And she said to me, "I'm never doing a muscle building phase again. Look at what like Pilates is doing to my body." And I was like,
Wasn't that just revealing the tissue built with you and then gave Pilates the credit?
"Mate," and I said this to her. I went, what do you think you did in your muscle? She won't believe it. She won't believe it. She is still training a little bit, but now
Mhm.
she's looking like she's looking really really good. But she doesn't say that's the muscle building phase. It's, oh, I'm never doing that again because I just felt horrible and got fat. But now that muscle building phase is what got your physique now that you love. But she didn't want to put two and two together.
Exactly that. And again, it's important to know that exactly what you said about the process. Part of the process is going through that stage and phase where you're putting on the weight, you're building the tissue, you're building muscle, you're
Mm.
growing. And then when it comes to revealing that tissue, when you can then reverse that and then go into that deficit, you reveal the tissue that's been built during
Yeah.
those gaining phases. So it's not a case of you always have to be gaining. You're only going to have to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's about getting to a certain point and then thinking, all right, cool, let me strip it down, and then you reveal the muscle that's been built.
Yeah, some females still don't believe me, but the ones that do are the ones that get the phenomenal physique. They're
You're
the
just
ones that,
you're just trying to take Pilates credit.
fuck it, I hate Pilates. Hate it.
You know, I've never done Pilates to be fair. I've done yoga and that, but never Pilates.
I had a client who's gone to the wellness center and done Pilates. Goes, oh my god, I love it. And I went, oh no, have I just lost a soldier here? But she was like, no.
So what kind of rep ranges would you be giving clients to grow their glutes?
So females respond very well to high reps. However, I do bias low reps strength.
Mm-hmm.
I
Thing
do,
is,
yeah.
with with uh with doing the low reps, what that enables you to do, especially with glutes, is gain that strength, which is then gonna then in turn give you the ability to do more reps and heavier weights when it goes to doing the high rep ranges as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think heavy hip thrusts, heavy squats, heavy Bulgarians, heavy RDLs, absolutely needed. Do you need to do it all the time? No, you could go through a phase of where it's lower reps. When the client finishes a training phase, I'll switch it up and sometimes we'll do 10 to 15, some are 6 to 8 or 5 to 7. It's good to try different phases. I wouldn't be going 1 week RDL 6 to 8, 1 week 10 to 15, 1 week 5 to, like, I wouldn't do that. I would stick to the program. A minimum, guys, a minimum of 12 weeks. If you can go 20 weeks, rinsing and repeating the same movement, getting stronger and stronger and stronger. You will get stronger, by the way. If you're in a surplus, you're eating enough food, there shouldn't really be a plateau too much because your body should be getting stronger and stronger and stronger to get heavier weights. I think
Mhm.
there's a misconception sometimes when there will be plateaus for sure, but a lot of it's mindset plateaus because you are getting stronger. So your muscles will be able to lift heavier. Whether it's one rep, half a rep, they still count. Whether it's 1.25 kilos as well, or you stay on the same weight for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, that weight at the beginning is heavy, but then after 3 weeks, it's quite easy, and then you can progress.
Still progress.
What about you? What do you think?
So same thing really. So generally we'll program between like 8 and 12, but yeah, sometimes it might be like doing like a back off sets where you're doing like one heavy set, lower reps, and then higher reps. Uh, but yeah, same as you are. Like I just know that to build the glutes, you want to be going heavy,
Mm,
lifting heavy, fucking pushing hard. And then something that this is more for like the burn, yeah, but I like adding in things like partial reps at the end of sets as well, or pulse sets as well. So for example, if like they're doing like a hip thrust, they might get to their target number, maybe a little bit more. If they can get more, then you might finish off with like a few partials as well, just to get that extra out of it.
yeah, I've actually got Becca doing that. I call it lengthened partials. So they'll
Mm.
do a little one at the bottom. They make sense on stuff like that, or could be. leg press and squat, I wouldn't be doing stuff like that.
Yeah, not in leg press or squats.
But bringing in intensifier sets as well is a form of getting past the plateau as well. So if you're stuck, and then you add in some length and partials or a drop set or a rest pause set, that's another way of breaking through a plateau. So technique is important as well. So your Bulgarians. A little tip as well, guys and girls, or guys as well. Try and hold the dumbbell. So if you're doing your left foot on a Bulgarian, hold the dumbbell on the right and try and hold it towards the shin. Lean a little bit forward. That'll create it a little bit more glute biased, and so the dumbbell's trying to rotate you as well. So if you're if you're holding the dumbbell on the right, your left leg is forward, your dumbbell's trying to turn you rightwards, yeah. So the glute is actually helping you stay stable or staying upright. So if you hold the dumbbell on your right side to the left and vice versa, it's going to engage the glutes even more.
Absolutely. And I think it's like when building a program, it's about getting a good sort of like aspect and making sure you're including a good amount of compound exercises and isolation exercises.
Uh-huh.
So you want to be targeting like specific. So with like isolation exercise, that's where you're obviously targeting one single muscle group, and then the compounds will be where you'll be able to go that little bit heavier, but you're incorporating other muscle groups while doing your movements. But you want to make sure you're including exercises that are targeting all your glute muscles as well.
Glute kickback.
Glute kickbacks, things like you just mentioned, single leg split squats.
Yeah, single leg. But still, it's still quads as well. That
Yeah, using quads as well, and a bit of hamstrings, depending on your foot position.
hip abduction is great, I
Yeah.
think. I think the biggest thing for glutes 101 is you stick to a program long periods of time. You include RDL, squat or leg press, Bulgarian split squat, and hip thrust. Them four would cover you a
Mhm.
lot. And obviously your isolations, maybe your abduction, glute kickback, stuff like that. 45-degree hip extension could be one if it's not with the same RDL. And then you are eating enough to build the glutes. Most people need to be eating just above their maintenance. You don't have to be stupid. If maintenance is 1,800, just do 2,000, maybe 2,100, stick it to that. Logbook your lifts, make sure you're doing more reps or weight, but also make sure your technique is on point because I see people progressing in numbers and looking exactly the same because they're not stimulating the muscle. They're
Mhm.
just moving weight. They're not mind to muscle connection, like you said.
And to tempo and control is also so key while doing it as well. So I know that when you train, you're a person that likes to kind of like take it slow, work on that time under tension.
I'll take it.
Doing Yes, it very much is so. But if me and you are doing the same weight, and just say, for example, you're doing 100 kilos on whatever exercise for 10 reps, and I'm doing the exact same exercise for the same amount of weight, for the same amount of reps, but I'm really rushing it, doing 10 reps in 10 seconds, and you're doing your 3 to 4 second eccentrics, you're going to get a lot more out of that exercise than I am because you've got more control and time under tension while performing your reps.
Yeah. The
This
biggest the,
feels so key as well.
the biggest driver for muscle growth is what we call mechanical tension. So the tension that you can put let's say we're doing the glutes, obviously, the amount of tension that you can put through the glutes. So I could do a hip thrust really quickly. That's not putting much tension through my glutes. It's just smashing my hip flexors. I'm pushing up with my knees and my feet, my spine. If I control it more, I'm going to drive tension through the glutes and I'm going to drive even more tension. And the bigger the tension, the bigger bang for our buck. That's pretty much it. And you can build some muscle in a deficit for sure, but not for long periods of time.
Mhm.
So yeah, guys.
Absolutely. So what you'll probably be able to explain this a little bit better than I can, but I know with some exercises when training glutes, you get more activation from the lengthened position, and then there's other exercises where you get more activation from the shortened position.
You want to have a combination of both,
Mhm.
but research shows that we build muscle more in lengthened biased exercises. That's not to say you can't grow. in shortened biased exercises, shortened muscle lengths biased exercises. That's a tongue twister. So again, a great example. I use the hip thrust and the RDL because some people don't really need to know this. I don't think you need to know this unless you're a little bit more advanced, because that's when you need to start being a bit more specific. But hip thrust is the heaviest at the top. That's when our glutes are fully contracted. Okay. Then it comes down. That's now lengthening the glutes and it's less tension on the glutes. So a hip thrust is a shortened, biased challenge to the glutes. Now, the RDL means that when we are bending over, we are bending at the hip, that's when there's most tension in the glutes. So it's lengthened. Think of it like an elastic band. And then when we stand up, when we drive back up, there's less tension off the glutes on the glutes when it's shortened. So having an exercise that attacks both areas, my dog's snoring, bless her. Having exercises that biased, shortened, lengthened, and even mid-range, to be honest, I would say Bulgarian split squats quite lengthened slash mid range is good to have and to have in the back of your mind. But again, guys, you don't really need to know that as long as you're just doing the four that I've said, and obviously with some isolation. The same applies to shoulders, chest, lats, hamstrings, quads, all that type of stuff. But yeah, as long as you're good, got good technique, you are going to build a lot of muscle with what we've just said with those four, 100%,
Mhm.
and eat enough protein.
And the
So
thing is that you see on Instagram all these different fancy exercises that people might do, and you don't. It looks good, but so a lot of the time they're not that effective
mm,
in trying to help you grow in this situation. What we're talking about is your glutes. So all you need to do is do the basics, do them well, do them heavy with intent, and that those four exercises, those four main ones, are going to be all you need to grow. And as long as in your program you got a good mix of exercises that are focusing on extension, abduction, rotation, then you're good to go.
yeah, and when we say intensity, guys, we're talking about training to failure. So let's use the hip thrust as an example. You are at your failure point, which you want to be always training to, unless for a specific reason, like you're coming back from injury or you're shattered or you're really stressed or whatever it is. When you fail is when you cannot bring that hip thrust, that bar to the top anymore. You literally have got nothing left. That's when your muscles are done for. They're fried. We can't do anymore. That's failure. I don't see that enough, and
That's when the workout started.
that's
You know?
but that's where most people fail. And even with males, honestly, the amount of people that I see at the gym that don't train till failure, more so at PFG, is actually quite good. But in commercial gyms, they just move the weight and then they finish the set and they're just all smiling and happy. You need to be making sure you cannot contract that muscle anymore. That's when it's fried. That's when you've reached that failure point. The last 5 reps from failure are your golden reps. That's where change is made. Anything before that is just stimulating the muscle a bit, but nothing will change.
And I tell my clients this all the time because they'll look at their program and you'll tell them aim for 10 to 12. They'll do their 12 reps, smile in their face, not even blowing, and they could have got an extra 2, 3, 4, 5 reps, but they'll just put the weight down because it says on paper aim for 12. So they'll stop at 12, which is short of what they were or could have been able to do. So it's about making sure again that intent is there with the intensity, that you're not just aiming for the numbers you've been told, making sure you're really having to push for those numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I get clients. I always send that they get me to send. I get them to send videos at the gym, so I can see how they're training. I can see where their joints are aligning. I can see where their failure point is. So then I give them that coaching cue. Right, you need to move your hips here. You need to hold that position more, and you've got another extra 4 reps. I've been doing this long enough to be able to tell how many reps a client has left based on their speed of the rep, the last few reps. So for me personally, as an online coach, I actually get clients to send me loads of videos. So that's the way I can get them to transform their physique. Because in the end of the day, you can eat really well, and I know you view this a bit differently, but I view it as more of like 70% training, 30% nutrition when it comes to the point where you're trying to build a physique. Fat loss, 80% nutrition, 20% training. But when you're actually now building and you want to build
Yeah.
glutes, you want to build even males, in my opinion, it's 70% training, 30% nutrition.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then one thing that we haven't really touched, we don't really need to touch upon it anyway. We've spoke about this previously, but resting is so key as well. If
Mm.
you're not if you're not prioritizing rest, prioritizing sleep, then you're not going to recover. That's when that repair sort of happens. So prioritizing that with intent to grow as well is something that I do find is key.
Mm. Yeah, people that rest 30 seconds and go back into a hip thrust. No, 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 no. You need your ATP is depleted. Needs time to recharge. Think of your energy like a recharge battery. Your
Mhm.
rest 90 seconds to 2 minutes. It's recharged, ready to go again. Sleep is actually where you recover. Funny enough, weirdly, guys, if you're getting shit sleep, um, get better sleep. That's all I'll say. Get better sleep because that's where we actually recover and our muscles start to recover and build new muscle tissue.
You know what I found this a couple times. So if say for example I trained legs on a Saturday and then that night I might have had to go out to a meal or go out for whatever reason, and then I get in late, and then if I'm up early, I don't really feel that fatigue. Then it'll be like the next night when I get a good night's sleep. That's when I really feel what I should have felt the day before if I had rested properly. But where you haven't let your body recover, you actually don't feel that repair happening until when you do get a good night's sleep.
Mm, yeah, especially. I love sleep. I'm in bed by 9 every night, mate. Although sleep last night, I was fucking all over the place last night.
Well, what happened?
I don't know. I got a lot going on. A lot going on. So I'm
Good
like,
stuff.
huh?
Good stuff.
Mix of good and mix and bad, personally stuff and other stuff. I've started a new project. So I'm doing like an hour, 2 hours in the evenings. And I think it's because I come to think of it, as I was drinking my coffee, I was like, I had a coffee at 4:30, which I don't normally do. And maybe that's what kept me awake. So I was fucking all over the place. When your mind is racing, I woke up just like, oh, crusty eyes going, oh, I really can't be asked to get up.
Yeah.
Horrendous. Guys, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Literally just a quick one today. There's not too much to know when it comes to knowing how to build, but it's just about making sure you're doing things well, doing things properly, and watch the magic happen.
Or just ask me and Phil to help you, and we'll help you build your
Or
glute.
just ask us to help you, and we'll do it.
Yeah, online coaching spots now available.
Personal training spots now available.
Looking for a PT, go with Phil. Looking for online, go with me. Anyway, good to see you, Phil. Thank you very much. Until next time, guys, we will see you on the next episode.